Bad news hit Redskins fans on Friday afternoon when the word emerged that Derrius Guice would miss the season with a torn ACL. The news is sad, undeniably, as Guice offered a charismatic personality off the field and a dynamic talent on the field. The news, however, is not cause for panic. Guice looked like the best running back on the Redskins roster during training camp in Richmond. He has speed and size, moves to go with the patient run style. Still, this is a player that had never produced in the NFL. Last season, the Redskins won 7 games despite the worst injury situation in the NFL. Rob Kelley and Chris Thompson played a combined 17 games, out of 32 possible, and Samaje Perine led the team with 603 rush yards. The run game was bad, but it didn't start that way. In their first 4 games, Washington rushed for more than 100 yards 3 times. In a Week 2 win over the Rams, the Redskins piled up a very impressive 229 rush yards. Then, the injuries mounted. Kelley went down and so did members of the offensive line. The point isn't to make light of the Redskins' run struggles in 2017. The team averaged just 3.6 yards per carry, and was terrible on third down and short yardage situations. Guice could have helped. That is obvious. The point, however, is that Washington can still win games without Guice. No matter how impressive the rookie looked in Richmond, it was no sure thing he would produce in the NFL. And it's equally not a sure thing that the Burgundy and Gold will have the same injury struggles, or run game struggles, in 2018. With a healthy offensive line, there is a data sample that shows a combination of Thompson, Kelley and Perine can produce on the ground. The mobility of Alex Smith should help the ground game as well. Losing Guice stings, no doubt, but it doesn't mean the Redskins' 2018 season has sunk before it even begins. Click here for the Once the Redskins get over the shock of losing rookie running back Derrius Guice for the season, they will have to figure out if they are going to replace him on the roster and, if so, how they will do it. Prior to free agency and the draft, Doug Williams told reporters that the Redskins needed to upgrade the running back position, emphasizing the point by adding, "Ain't no doubt about it." They did that by taking Guice in the second round of the draft in April. Guice was supposed to be the number 1 back. He had star potential and everyone, players, coaches, fans, was confident that he would have a huge impact. Now, the Redskins are back to the same group that Williams was so desperate to upgrade back in the spring. Rob Kelley started 7 games last year and Samaje Perine started 8. Perine led the team in rushing with 603 yards, 3.4 per carry, and Kelley battled injuries and rushed for just 194 yards, 3.1 per carry. Thompson was having a very good year when he suffered a broken fibula that ended his season in Week 11. Byron Marshall and Capri Bibbs were signed to replace him as the third down back, and both flashed some ability. A flash here and there is great, but nobody on the roster has the potential that Guice had. Should the Redskins go with who they have or try to add to the group? There are veteran possibilities. Adrian Peterson and Jamal Charles both have All-Pro honors on their resumes, but both are well over 30 with a ton of carries, and neither has done much in the last few years. Old friend Alfred Morris is available, and he was a favorite of Jay Gruden's. It seems unlikely that the Redskins would re-sign him after letting him walk in free agency in 2016 without so much as making him a competitive offer. But between him, Peterson, and Charles, he would be the most likely veteran to target. They could pull off a trade if a team finds it has an excess of talented backs. They have 10 draft picks in hand next year, putting them in position to make a deal if someone they like becomes available. Williams and Bruce Allen also could keep an eye on the waiver wire as teams make the cut to 53 in 3 weeks. The issue there is the same as it is with signing a veteran or making a trade. Is the player you get enough of an upgrade over what you have on the roster to make him worth the price? With all that said, recent history tells us that the Redskins are likely to go with what they have. They suffered a plethora of injuries last year, including many before the trade deadline, but they did not pull off a trade. They relied on out-of-work veterans and younger players signed away from other teams' practice squads to take the roster spots vacated by the 22 players who were put on injured reserve during the course of the season. That may or may not have been the best way to handle the situation, but it seems likely that they will handle this injury the same way. Take Kelly, Thompson, and Guice. And then add either Marshall or Bibbs, and there you probably have your 2018 Redskins running back core. If you've paid attention to recent history, ain't no doubt about it. Redskins 2018 training camp news. The roster battles. Who are the locks to make the roster? Redskins Talk podcast. The guys project the 53 stay up to date on the Redskins. Rich Tandler covers the team 365 days a year. Like his Facebook page, facebook.com/TandlerRBCs, and follow him on Twitter at TandlerNBCS and on Instagram at Rich Tandler. In Derrius Guice, it looked like the Redskins landed a running back that could be the 20-carry-a-game, defense-pounding weapon the team hadn't possessed in a long time. But in one of the toughest pieces of news the franchise has had to deal with in a long time, Guice's rookie season is done after just 6 preseason carries. On Friday, the team announced his knee injury in the preseason opener was actually a torn ACL and he'll miss 2018 entirely. Without Guice, Rob Kelly, who many expected would be used to spell the LSU product, will likely open up as the Redskins starter. But he isn't the kind of dynamic guy who can be used week in, week out like the team was hoping to do with Guice, so he'll need help. A rotation will have to be used now. That help will of course come from Chris Thompson, yet Thompson is the third down back and won't be relied upon to become a workhorse. In terms of first and second down carries, which would have been Guice's wheelhouse, look for Samaje Perine to be involved there. Perine was tangled in a training camp battle to make the 53, but with no 29's injury, it appears that he's very safe now. Byron Marshall and Kapri Bibbs, meanwhile, will see their chances of surviving cuts increase too. They're both more in the Thompson mold, so they'll compete against one another to maybe make Jay Gruden's squad as a backup to the change of pace option. Then there's the chance the Skins will look to free agency to address their now weaker running back group. Adrian Peterson and Alfred Morris are two such names they could consider, but they're older and fading. Perhaps Washington could work a trade out too. The bottom line, however, is that this injury is a devastating one. With him, the depth chart looked quite loaded. Without him, the picture is much bleaker. More Redskins news.